A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ English. Welcome to the Hindu newspaper class with me. I am Saumya, and like every day, you and I shall be looking at UPSC relevant articles from the Hindu newspaper New Delhi edition. Today being 21st of January, a reminder of how quickly time flies, a reminder of how important is each day when it comes to preparation, when it comes to fulfilling our dreams. So the new year started on a very positive note. Today, almost 3 weeks are gone. Time really, really flies. So, welcome to today's news analysis on 21st January. And here are 7 articles that I have taken from today's newspaper. Although they are 7 in number, but they are very dense articles. Today's articles are very informative, they are very dense. In fact, the whole newspaper is rich today, it's an enriched edition. So, therefore, the first 3 articles are editorial page articles. They have been picked up from the editorial page. I was taking all 4, but I deliberately did not take the 4th one because it is something we have discussed just yesterday. There was no point in repeating. It was about SIR, so I did not take it up. We have 3 articles from editorial, and then we have certain other articles from the world news involving a very unique place that we shall see on the map named as Chagos Island. Then we shall be looking at a little bit into Yemen, Sudan today. We shall be looking at China India trade relations. Apart from that, also briefly the West Asian region. Okay, so all these are the agendas for the day. And before I start with the first article of editorial, that is the Donroe Doctrine, a broken international order, which is about international relations. So, therefore, GS paper 2, IR UPSC main syllabus. Now that we start with the first article, let me quickly welcome in today's class all my dear aspirants who have joined me, including Sitaram, including Jerry, Sumed, Hari, Priyanshu, Terikula, Bulbul, Apex, Santosh, Zahir, Afroz, Himanshu, Madhav, many code names in between, Kaizan, Kavish, Kazu, Kojumba, very good morning, and Saurav, Ramu is here, Rajneshwar, Kritik, and many other students. And as others keep joining as well, let's begin with the agenda of the first article. As I said, listen carefully, bacha. This is GS Paper 2 International Relations. What kind of international relations are we looking at? We are looking at America's relationship with the rest of the world right now. We are looking at how a president from one of the largest economies of the world, namely President Donald Trump of America, has today chosen to monopolize the entire global community, to create America's hegemony. A man who is obsessed with the idea of MAGA, make America great again. And in that process, one by one, he has been undermining, he has been defeating the purpose of various global institutions. Now, there is something that we call in psychology as role model effect. What is that? Role model effect. A very good example of role model effect is if we say in India that if you appoint more women in bureaucracy, in parliament, and in panchayat raj, it will create a role model impact and it will encourage many more women to become economically empowered. Today, something similar is happening in the world also, in a very negative way, of course. When President Trump, the leading president of the biggest, the most powerful, the most rich country, acts in a way that is highly unilateral, that is unreasonable, that is beyond any law, it creates a negative role model impact to many other countries who are aspiring powers, including China, Russia, Israel, Iran. It creates a very negative impact. It tells them that if America can break laws, so can we. That's what this article is saying. What is the Donroe Doctrine? How has it completely broken the international order for us? So let's focus on the article. Very good morning, Shubham, Sumit, Arul, and Vikash, and Iba. Good morning, welcome. Let's see now. Article is arguing that in 2026, the global order, global stability has completely been broken down with a power politics replacing rule based order. After Second World War, most of the countries in the world had decided to now maintain peace. Example, countries like America, European Union countries decided to join Global bodies like United Nations. The idea was to now create a body that will ensure that there is peace, fairness, and transparency in the world. Similarly, countries like Japan decided to demilitarize themselves. They said, we have had enough loss in the Second World War. Now we want peace. They decided never to spend a penny on any kind of military. They built an economy purely on the basis of industrialization. But today, if you see 2026, the world is not the same anymore. Example could be, whereas countries of the West are undermining the logic of United Nations, World Trade Organization, World Health Organization, Paris Agreement, Kyoto Protocol, all these are now being declined, refuted, degraded. There are countries like Japan who also have now succumbed to the pressure. They say our military strategy is outdated now. We cannot afford not to have any defense expenditure. And therefore, now they have also decided to spend about 5% of their GDP, just like NATO countries, into defense. You see, all the countries have realized without military, there is no importance in the world because actions taken by people like President Trump have openly shown dominance. It has given a very negative role model impact to other countries like Europe, West Asia, China, Russia, India as well. A very negative message. So here we are saying, because of President Trump, America has revived the Monroe Doctrine. But what is the Monroe Doctrine? Monroe Doctrine is a belief that was rooted in America's history from 1823. Under Monroe Doctrine, America said that no third country, no outsider has any right to interfere in Western Hemisphere. America is the ruler of Western Hemisphere, the Caribbean Ocean, the Caribbean Sea, the North Atlantic Ocean, entire area of Latin America, that is South America. America treated South America like its own backyard of their own house, like their own garden. And no third country would interfere, no matter what America chooses to do with Latin America. America's attacks, America's domination on Latin America, Central America is not new. It was long back from 1962 onwards that countries like Cuba were repeatedly attacked. America kept on showing its hegemony in these regions. But today, from 1823 to now, President Donald Trump has once again revived the Monroe Doctrine. In fact, he has revived it in such an aggressive manner that today people are saying it's not Monroe, it is Donroe Doctrine. Monroe Doctrine plus Donald Trump's policies, therefore, Donroe Doctrine. And what is Donroe Doctrine? Interference in Latin America, not accepting outside interference. Example, 2026. America's Donald Trump's breakdown of Article 2.4 of United Nations Charter. Very good, Hari. United Nations Charter was broken down. Article 2.4. President Trump unilaterally, as a midnight military operation, kidnapped, abducted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. It violated Venezuela's sovereignty. President Trump justifies this as the modern Donroe Doctrine. Now this is the Donroe Doctrine. After kidnapping an acting president of another country, violating its sovereignty, today President Trump threatens to acquire countries like Greenland. He tells European Union that if you do not give me Greenland, I will create additional 20%. Initially 10%, it will be revived to 20% tariff on you as a threat. Give me Greenland. It's important to my security. He says, I will capture Cuba by completely shattering Cuban economy. He says, I might also tomorrow think of capturing places like Colombia. And he has given many, many threats to Iran. People are insecure. What happens in the West Asia? We don't know. Today we can call it Donroe Priyanshu. From Monroe to Donroe. Monroe was initiated by President James Monroe. Very good, Hari. That was back in 1823. Today, he has reinterpreted, revived, and further made it more aggressive into Donroe Doctrine. What he has done, no other acting president has done in history. And therefore, this is making another history in itself. All these mean open coercion, open force, and open aggression in global politics, targeting regimes of other nations, ignoring international law. Ignoring international law, completely ignoring that. And what are the implications of this kind of behavior? Implications are that the post-World War, post-Second World War, post-1945 Rule-based global order is ready to collapse now. The world may head towards another global war, and this time it could be more threatening because all the countries are highly powered with nuclear weapons, uranium enrichment, biological weapons. It's going to be very unsafe now. It sets a dangerous example for nations like China who are equally aggressive. If America claims Western Hemisphere, China claims Eastern Hemisphere. I have told you earlier also, today the globe is practically divided into a tripartite agreement. Western Hemisphere completely dominated by Mr. Trump. Eastern Hemisphere, including the South China, East China, Indo-Pacific, completely dominated by China. Yesterday I have made another video on the channel. When your time permits, you can quickly have a look. It's known as Pratas Islands. China today is also trying to capture Pratas Island from Taiwan. It's a coral reef island, atoll. Okay, so you see China. China is dominating the Eastern Hemisphere, and then there is Russia in the north. So that's practically how the world is divided today. And this action by President Trump, repeatedly capturing, attacking, threatening other countries, is a total breakdown of Article 2.4 of UN Charter, which says no one country can attack or threaten or use force against another sovereign country. And if America can do that, what's the guarantee tomorrow China will not do that on Hong Kong, Taiwan, near Japan? What's the guarantee Russia may not do that to further push inside the NATO eastern boundary? There's no guarantee. Now, recently, just about few months before, in America's parliament, a doctrine was released. I told you the name of that doctrine in one of my Hindu lectures. It was known as NSS, United States National Security Strategy 2025. And under the strategy, President Trump has made it very clear that America will continue to dominate the Western Hemisphere. America will prevent Russia and China from sending any troops, any military in the Western Hemisphere. The Venezuela action was not a surprise attack, sorry. It was a pre-planned attack. It was not an impulsive act. It was a well-decided, well-laid out plan, and later President Trump said, see, I don't know anything about it. It was America's military who did that as a midnight secret operation. I had no awareness. Is that possible? That's not possible, okay? So therefore, it was a well-executed plan. Today, the threats he is giving to Cuba, Mexico, Colombia, and even Greenland, they also could be a well-planned strategy. Let's not mistake. Let's not assume that they are only threats. They can tomorrow result in acquisition, just like it happened in Venezuela. See, in Venezuela also, we all were talking about Operation Southern Spear, an operation by America's military to control narcotic drug traffic in Colombia and Venezuela, but we did not realize. When that Operation Southern Spear got translated into Operation Absolute Resolve, final capturing of President Maduro was not something you and I were actually expecting to happen. Did we expect? No. So therefore, tomorrow, an action may happen against Greenland also. His mood is really bad and he has been giving threats of increasing tariffs on NATO countries. He has been threatening them and saying, if you do not listen to me, I have other ways of getting my work done. What happens to Europe and Russia in this situation? What happens to them? Now, Europe as a continent has completely condemned, criticized this action of America. European Union, a grouping of about 27 nations today, has unequivocally stood against America. They say that these actions are not just terrorizing in nature, they are completely anti-global in nature, illegal in nature. You can't threaten us by saying that I will give you tariff extra if you do not give me Greenland. You are defeating the purpose of NATO. You are defeating the idea behind transatlantic relations between Europe and America through the North Atlantic Sea. You are defeating that. Europe criticizes the national security strategy of America, saying that today America has no right to abandon Europe suddenly. See, in the past, America used to provide security, military assistance to various European Union countries. Why do you think a small country, one-fourth of Russia, was able to continue a fight with Russia for more than 3 years? 22 it started, till 25 it went on. How do you think President Zelensky sustained? Where was the money and weapons coming from? They were all coming from NATO. NATO believes in Article 5 of NATO Charter, collective defense. Attack against one is attack against all. Ukraine was soon to become a NATO member, soon to become a European Union member. No wonder all the countries of Europe supported Ukraine. President Trump also used to heavily provide military support to Ukraine. No wonder he stood the fight. And suddenly, by the end of 2025, President Trump's mood is changing now. He says, I am not going to provide any military support, any defense support either to European Union or to Ukraine. If Ukraine wants, he can surrender to President Trump. I don't care. Ukraine may not become a NATO member. In fact, he says, I don't even believe in NATO anymore because European Union is rotting now. He says, he threatens European Union heads of countries that if you want me to support you, then elect a right-wing leader like President Giorgia Meloni of Italy. Select such leaders who are right-wing conservative leaders, who can stand anti-immigration, who can stand to provide their own security. I am not supporting any left government. I am not supporting any liberal government, sorry. This sudden abandonment of Europe is also a shock. It's a shock to Europe completely. It is almost like telling Russia that there is no problem. Go ahead and capture Ukraine. I don't mind. Go ahead and capture Zaporizhia. Go ahead and take Kherson. Go ahead and take Luhansk and Donbass. I have no problem. Provided I am getting to exercise my Donroe doctrine. I am getting to capture Greenland, Venezuela, Cuba, Mexico. You enjoy in the east. Let me enjoy in the west. It's almost like the kind of agreement that used to happen in European powers before they were ready to colonize the whole world. Remember, there was a treaty signed between Portugal and Spain, I think, long back in 1700s, which said, you keep the area that's east in the eastern hemisphere, I keep the area that's in western hemisphere. Okay, so it's almost like the history is repeating itself. Today, President Trump is almost dividing the globe. China, you keep the area. You keep fighting there in South China Sea. I will keep controlling you through Quad. But Russia, you can do what you want. In return, you do not interfere in my life. I will go and capture the Western Hemisphere. It's almost like that. Ukraine war. Today, President Trump has abandoned Ukraine, left the war in between. What will Ukraine do now? Should Ukraine surrender? Should there be no buffer area between NATO and Russia? Is that safe in future? Will Russia tomorrow not demand other countries of Eastern Europe? Yes, a big security threat for Europe indeed. And now look at West Asia. What's happening in West Asia? Israel's military campaign has stopped for now. There is a pause right now. Why? Why do you think Israel has paused? Why? Because Israel is waiting like an eagle at whatever is going on in Iran. It will decide its actions accordingly. Right now, Israel has a big hope that President Trump will conduct some action against Iran, and that's when Israel will take advantage. But peace is not there. In Gaza Strip, there is still famine, there is still genocide, and there is still exchange of missiles that goes on. There is no promise of creating two-state solution between Palestine or Israel. Nobody is going to listen to the advice by the Board of Peace created by President Trump. Gaza is volatile. Iran is volatile. 1979, after that, the first big revolution in Iran, internal protest, no peace in Iran. Today, Mr. Khamenei might anytime withdraw and go back to Russia. Then who will lead Iran? Will it be led by a man called Reza Pahlavi? He is a US representative. Will it not completely change the structure of Iran? Is that not a matter of threat for Saudi Arabia? Is that not a matter of threat for other countries of Gulf? It is a big, big threat. So today what is happening? Western countries continue, therefore, in Western countries also America continues to dominate the global politics. If not through military action, then through sanctions. The war is very clear. So President Trump has two weapons. One, direct attack like in Venezuela. Absolute resolve. Another, sanctions. Sanctions are a weapon. They are a tool. They are a weapon of war. Now for him, they are a weapon of war. As Ramu mentioned right now. He also said 500% tariff I will impose on countries who continue their oil import from Russia. What are all these? These are economic acts of war. Completely a violation of WTO, which he has already abandoned. Yes, that's going on now. And then what happens to countries like Afghanistan, Pakistan? There is a huge unrest there also. I told you, since 2021, Afghanistan is led by Taliban. Taliban doesn't recognize the Durand line. Taliban doesn't recognize the Durand line. Taliban says there is no official border between me and Pakistan. There are groups like Tariq-e-Taliban who are continuing to attack Pakistani area. And the belt between Pakistan and Afghanistan is very fragile. It is full of terror networks. You name it. Jaish-e-Mohammed, Taliban Pakistan, Al Qaeda, Lashkar-e-Taiba, they are all very fertile in this belt. Yes? Now they both keep on attacking each other. Afghanistan claims Pakistan attacks its citizens. Pakistan claims no, Afghanistan is supporting the Baloch crisis. They keep on creating insurgency in Pakistan. There is no peace here. The border with Pakistan and India therefore remains unstable. It's very unstable. Pakistan is again in ruins right now. Many times we have discussed, Vikash had also mentioned yesterday, the 127th Amendment has been passed in Pakistan recently, giving a complete domination to Pakistani military. Now they cannot be held liable for any criminal action. They have got complete impunity. With that, General Asim Munir is the de facto ruler of Pakistan now. And he is continuing to make military ties with Saudi Arabia, with other countries such as Libya. Now, if he is the man who is the de facto ruler, Pakistan will be a military country now. Democracy will keep on weakening. And the Prime Minister, Mr. Shehbaz Sharif, is nothing now. He is just like a puppet in the hands of General Asim Munir. America has again welcomed General Asim Munir rather than blaming him for the attack during India's Pahalgam. Asim Munir has been given a big welcome by America. He has been treated on lunches and breakfasts. Big welcome. Saudi Arabia has awarded him the highest civilian honor. So he is making his space quite well. And America and Saudi both will provide support, one through oil and gas, one through military. So Pakistan, therefore, has still a lot of benefit. Plus, it's an ally of China also. Okay. Now, Bangladesh, highly unstable. A lot of people say, those who do not understand global politics properly, I see so many people, they just casually say, America is destabilizing Bangladesh. Well, it is a very vague statement. Not directly, but indirectly. For America, the whole logic is to not let Bangladesh become a colony of China. If we want to have stability in Indo-Pacific, then Bangladesh is also in a key maritime strategic location. We do not want it to become an ally of China, just like Myanmar has become. So therefore, India wants peace in Bangladesh. It helps us in preventing border refugee crisis. It helps us in maintaining peace in the border. For America also, a stable Bangladesh any day is better. Why? Because if it becomes an ally of China, it will harm. It will create China's domination in Indo-Pacific. But in Bangladesh also, there is no stability yet. No stability. And what is China doing? China is conducting its own party in the South China, East China Sea. I told you, the 9-dash line. I told you, China has an imaginary area, a U-shaped line in South China Sea. In yesterday's video, I showed that map also. Starting from places like Paracel Islands, Spratly Island, Scarborough Shoal, James Shoal. Then Pratas Island, Senkaku, Diaoyu, Yonaguni, Pingtan. All these are areas from where China continues to threaten nations like Taiwan. China cannot tolerate an autonomous Taiwan. America supports Taiwan through its military help. It's a very unstable area right now. In the meantime, China takes advantage and continues to become one of the largest economies. China continues to have a great export potential and has global supply chain domination. Rare earth restrictions are created by China to keep maintaining its monopoly over supply chains of critical minerals. China expands in the Indian Ocean. China expands in the South China Sea, in the Eastern Pacific also. So what should India do? India is in a dilemma. We know India is not happy with America, not at all. Neither do we support the actions on Venezuela, nor do we support America's threats on Iran, nor do we support the tariff war. But India knows that America is needed to us. It is our need for technology, need for the diaspora that's in America, need to maintain some anti-China force in the Indo-Pacific. For example, Quad. So India needs America. At the same time, India needs China too. Because China is a leading supplier of API, raw material that are used in drug manufacturing, pharmacy. India is a leader of generic drug manufacturing, pharmacy of the global south. Where does API come from? Raw material. All comes from China. Where do critical minerals come from right now? All coming from China. So can we lose China totally? No, we can't. At the same time, America's support to Pakistan has been humiliating for us in a big way. So India is therefore looking at alternatives. India therefore today supports the I2U2 group. I told you, India, Israel, US, UAE group. IMEC as a counteraction against China's BRI. India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. Very good, Terukula Santosh. multi-alignment. India has moved from non-alignment to multi-alignment. And therefore, today, what is going on? If you look at anti-terror initiative of India, India has been very clear today, whether it comes to the Tianjin Declaration of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, whether it comes to G20, whether it comes to BRICS, India says, I do not tolerate any terrorism. It's a persistent threat to my national security. Islamic State and Al-Qaeda are currently very strong in Africa. But tomorrow they may also continue to attack Asia, West Asia as well. And India, therefore, apart from managing multi-alignment with the world, should focus on its agenda of anti-terror. And a country like America, which is itself becoming a soft power terror today, cannot be expected to do any counter terror operation. So, therefore, the duty is on Global South, a leader of Global South like India, Russia, who can now promote anti terror operations. Yes, that should be India's challenge today, managing multi alignment, economic diplomacy, plus a strict anti terror policy. That's all we can do in today's dangerous world. Western Hemisphere, Donroe. Eastern Hemisphere, China. Yes, European Union abandoned by America, facing the threat of Russia's incursion. And at the same time, Pakistan's continued strengthening relationship in West Asia. So this is what India is living in right now. So yes, foreign policy has a major role to play. Okay, very well said, everyone. Now let's quickly focus on the question. Absolutely, very, very good. Correct. Correct. You see, that is also another development, as Ramu mentions beautifully. Yes, he has threatened France also. So again, same thing he's doing with India today. He says, India, please come and join the board of peace in Gaza. Send your troops. India has not given a reply yet. It's dangerous to give him a reply also, no? With this kind of a huge ego bubble, you never know what he says in return. What if he says 1000% tariff on you? There is no clarity as such. Okay. The question, with reference to recent global geopolitical development and the so-called Donroe Doctrine. Look at these statements. One, the Donroe Doctrine is described as a modern reinterpretation of 1823 Monroe Doctrine, asserting America's exclusive security role in Western Hemisphere. Second, it reflects a shift from post-1945 rule-based international order towards a power-based unilateral action by major powers. And three, the doctrine explicitly, clearly supports multilateralism intervention through United Nations to resolve political crisis in Latin America, that is South America. Very easy question for those who have understood. So very well answered, Hari, AB, Hika, Urupam, Zahir, my dear Rishi, Santosh, Sumit, Terukula, Saurav, Anok, Pushpita. Very good. Bhima, Kritik, Rajneshwar, Urupam, Akhtar. Well done, everyone. What about Kojumba, Sitaram, Ramu, Vikash? Am I missing your answers? I saw Ramu's answer. Dia has answered. What about Iba? What about Bulbul? Yes? Is it clear to everybody? Yes, that is a very valid point, Kritik. The fact that internally also in America now there is a feeling that President Trump is not doing something that should be validated. There is criticism coming from the court, criticism coming from members of opposition, but at the same time, it's like those who have money and power will always dominate the global discourse. So these criticisms are there, they are brimming up, but the reality shall only be visible in the next election or until there is an impeachment. So until he's here, there's nothing much we can do. 27th Amendment Act. Sorry, Terukula. Thanks for clarifying. It was 27th Amendment Act. Wonderful. Or please clarify, was it 127 or 27? I'm a little confused there. Very good, Sitaram, Bhima, Shubham. Who answered already? Sitaram did. Okay. Did I not? Bhima, could you please repeat, my dear? Could you please repeat, my dear? That will be very kind of you if you do. Okay, then. That's the right answer, everybody. Yes, A will be the right answer. Third is invalid because President Trump believes in Monroe Doctrine, and here he is single-handedly blaming Latin America for narcotic terror. He will attack Latin America. There's no involvement of any multilateral power here. So no involvement of UN, and thanks for clarifying. Huge round of applause for that. Thank you very, very much. So in Pakistan, we have signed the 27th Amendment Act, under which now military has been given complete power. For example, Mr. Asim Munir is the de facto and the de jure leader now. And the Prime Minister, Mr. Shehbaz Sharif, has only become a puppet or a nominal ruler, therefore. That means Pakistan slipping once again to become a military country like it has happened in the past also. Nothing new for Pakistan. Thanks for clarifying. Very kind of you. And Bhima, I request you to repeat your question. Now, quickly, the next article from editorial page, let's focus. Electronic vehicles are what we are talking about. EV boom is accelerating a copper crunch. If you break down the title of this article, EV boom, what is a boom? Too much increase in electronic vehicles. So we are looking at GS paper 3. Okay. Why? We are looking at renewable energy. We are looking at alternate energy. We are looking at electronic vehicle technology. So GS paper 3, science and tech. Now, copper crunch. And what is a crunch? A crunch is a deficiency. Another very good word for crunch, paucity. When you have a paucity of something, you lack it. A deficiency of something is what you're having. Very good. Okay, so EV boom. On the one hand, there is a boom, there is a big increase in electronic vehicle segment as a part of the global push towards renewable energy. On the other hand, we are looking at copper crunch. There is a paucity, a deficiency in the supply of a critical material that's used in electronic vehicles known as copper today. In the past, we have seen so many examples of rare earth element. 17 dedicated elements on the periodic table, 15 lanthanides, scandium, yttrium. We have seen they are a part of the broader category of critical minerals, including others like graphite, lithium, including lithium, graphite, and yes, lithium, cobalt, graphite, very good. So many of them, very good, Terukula. Very good. Neodymium, identified as a rare earth metal that's used as a magnet of EV plus also as a magnet of wind turbines. Very, very good. Very good. So net zero is 2070 and Viksit Bharat is 2047. So well done. Can we come back now? Well done. Nickel, cobalt, excellent, Terukula. Very good, Priyanshu. Great, great. Paucity, crunch, deprivation, that's what we are looking at. Thank you so much, Akshay. Okay, so now let's focus on the article. What's happening here? What kind of a paradox is that? That the world is creating so many electronic vehicles. Recently, the Supreme Court of India had also directed the Delhi government to push and promote electronic vehicle and public transport sector as New Delhi continues to reel with too much air pollution. On the one hand, the world is increasing the output of EV. There is an increased demand. On the other hand, because of that, there is a complete fall in the supply of copper as an important input here. So what's the core issue of the article? Article is saying the global shift towards EV is very important for green future, clean future. But it is creating a serious copper supply challenge. Why? Because copper is important for electronic vehicle batteries, motors, wiring, charging station and power grids. As electronic vehicle adoption rises rapidly, copper demand is growing so much more fast. It is not matching with the supply. There is an inflationary pressure here in this market, creating a risk of shortage. And why copper matters so much to electronic vehicle? Let's focus. Why? Because electronic vehicles use 4 to 5 times more copper than normal conventional petrol or diesel vehicles. Copper is therefore the backbone of moving towards electrification, of substituting the use of fossil fuel and coal and adopting EV segment. There is no large-scale substitute available for copper right now. There is no substitute. We absolutely need copper. And there has been a great growth in demand. If you look at the whole world, then global electronic vehicle sales increased from 0.55 million in 2015 to about 20 million in 2025. That's tremendous growth. Electronic vehicle related copper use has increased from 27,500 tons to above 1.28 million tons. Copper demand has grown in such a big step that electronic vehicle demand is not being able to fulfilled now. So copper demand increases more as compared to electronic vehicle demand. If you look at the elasticity, Copper demand elasticity is above 1. That means copper sale has grown faster than the sale of electronic vehicle as well. That's very interesting. Okay. Now, at the same time, if you look at electricity sector now, so the problem is that when you look at copper is now becoming a non-negotiable material. Today, we say we want to create electronic vehicles. We want to promote the change from petrol, diesel, kerosene, coal into electricity based electronic gadgets that do not consume any fossil fuel. The main problem is, even if we try to improve the efficiency, absolute copper demand will still keep on increasing. We can never match the demand. There will always be a lag between supply and demand. There will always be an inflation in the copper market, again increasing the prices of copper heavily. If you look at supply constraints, one thing is copper mining is a sector in which too much investment has not happened. The ore quality, the ore quality has also been declining. Third thing is copper mining is a time taking thing. It's not like the mining of other minerals like bauxite mining, or for that matter iron ore mining, that takes less time. But here the issue is copper mining is time consuming, very time consuming. The gestation period is a very good word. What is gestation? The wait period. The gestation period is very, very long when it comes to copper, very long. If you look at the gestation period, then 10 to 15 years it takes to establish new mines to create copper. It creates an environmental footfall also, because if you look at countries like Chile, Peru, US that are leaders when it comes to copper manufacturing and mining, their environmental protesters are protesting that copper mining has led to a lot of ecological devastation. It has led to the death of so many workers and laborers in the informal sector. Yes, and that's a very valid point said by you, Eric. That's a beautiful insight. We are looking at Chalcolithic, the copper stone age, to today, complete copper age. Very good. Very valid point. Very creative insight. Absolutely. Correct, Priyanshu. Now, what has happened? In all these countries, people are saying that we will not allow copper mining as much. Then how will the supply come? If you look at the global deficit, then in 2024, there was a small surplus production of copper, about 3 million tons. But in 2026, the demand completely off balanced that. The demand was 30 million tons. Supply was 28 million tons. There has always been a deficiency. Today, if you look at by 2030, we may experience about 8 million tons of deficiency when it comes to copper supply. There is no copper available. But the demand for electronic vehicle is very high. Apart from copper, there are other requirements, REE, rare earth material, in which countries like India have not been able to create midstream and downstream capacity. Maximum we can extract the rare earth material. After that, it's very difficult to mine it, to clean it, heat it, make it pure, and finally to use it. So midstream, downstream capacities are not available. Hence, EV sector will always be problematic. There will be a higher cost of buying electronic vehicles. Many middle class people will not make that switch, therefore. They can't afford it. Now, slow charging infrastructure is also a problem. When there is no copper, you can't create charging stations. Without charging stations, why will population shift towards EV segment? No. Will it not threaten our decarbonization agenda? It will. Copper is therefore becoming a key bottleneck when it comes to transition from fossil fuel based into green energy based. It will take time. China dominates the electronic vehicle segment and copper demand. Just now, Rishi and Vikash were talking about how China dominates the rare earth material, REE. Downstream, midstream, refining, mining, processing, everything is dominated by China today. Let me also tell you, it is China that dominates the electronic vehicle segment. China dominates. Not just China dominates EV segment, China dominates copper supply as well. This is again one place China has a complete monopoly. So remember this also, bacha, that China dominates EV and copper supply both. Nearly 60% of global electronic vehicle related copper use comes from China. Nearly 70% of global battery cell production comes from China. 60 and 70%. By 2025, European Union, if it was able to manage about 210,000 ton, America was able to manage 1,14,000, India only 7,200 ton. Very, very mediocre growth in the segment, whereas China, about 70% of global battery cell production comes from China. What is the result of this? What's the implication? Implication is, once again, China monopolizes. Just like rare earth material, electronic vehicle, pharmaceutical API, China dominates what? Electronic vehicle and copper supply segment. Therefore, China will keep on getting more power when it comes to deciding global price. When it comes to supply chain security, China will have that advantage. And no matter what China does illegally in the South China Sea, no country will ever have the right, no country will have the power to undermine or criticize China. We saw an example of that. We saw an example of that last year in 2025. A man like President Trump, who never negotiates, who always is like my way or highway. That kind of man sat down in South Korea to meet President Xi of China, the G2 summit, before the APEC summit. Why? He knew he could not afford to have an enemy like China. Today, if China said, I stop rare earth material, America's electronic vehicle production, AI chip fabrication, America's manufacturing of data processing centers, America's semiconductor, all would have declined. Very good, Terukula. The G2 summit, Busan, South Korea. He met him, right? So today, same thing happens. EV transition towards electronic vehicle is not just about having the right technology. It is about having enough resource also. Copper availability will shape the speed and cost of electrification of energy. Without rapid expansion of mining, recycling, material innovation, global electronic vehicle ambition may be limited by geology, not policy. Having technology is not enough. Having resource and having the capacity to mine that resource are equally important. Yes. Might is right. Absolutely. Pax Silica comes in the picture, Kojumba. We have an article on that today. Very good, Akshay. And somebody was mentioning, I think it was Vikash, who spoke about Rajasthan mines, okay? Yes. The Khetri mines in Rajasthan produce copper. Very well pointed out. Brilliant, absolutely. When your time permits, have a look at the map of Khetri mines. Very good. Quickly, the question Vikash answers now. With reference to the role of copper in EV transition, look at these statements, please. 1. Electronic vehicles require significantly more copper than internal combustion engine vehicle due to their battery, motor, charging infrastructure. Second, global copper supply chain is expected to comfortably meet the rising EV related demand because new mines can be created within 2-3 years. And 3, China accounts for the largest share of EV related copper consumption due to dominance in EV manufacturing and battery production. Which of these statements therefore are valid here? Majority says what? B or C? Vikash, code name Rishi, Sumed, Grewal, Kavish, Urupam, Eric, Saurav, Akhtar, Santosh, Ramu, Shubham, Pushpita. All of them are C. Bulbul, Diya. Everybody says it's C. So what should I do? What should I do? Just because majority says it's correct, will it be correct? Now this time, nobody has bothered to read the statement 1 properly. Nobody read the statement 2 properly. How can you say that the answer is C? Sometimes majority can be very wrong. No. Sometimes majority can be misleading. You did not read the second statement properly because you read it extra properly. Because C is not just the right answer, it is absolutely the right answer. So why the lack of confidence? Absolutely huge round of applause. C is right. Second is wrong. Global copper supply cannot meet the demand of EV because it is a long gestation period that's required for establishing new mines of copper. It takes about 10 to 15 years for a new mine to come up. It cannot happen in 2-3 years. So well done. Round of applause because majority is right. Very good. Very good. Ramu is giving a disclaimer there. He understands me so well. Okay, the next article. Very good. The next, be always confident, but your same thing can happen in prelims. As soon as you take one option, another option may mislead you. Same thing will happen in CSAT comprehension. Because in comprehension, what happens? Now I'll start the live classes either today or tomorrow. We'll let you know. So live classes, when I do, I'll teach you that strategy. What happens? All options are correct in comprehension. A, B, C, D, all are correct. You have to select the most appropriate one. So as soon as you do B, you will feel C is right. As soon as you do D, you will feel B is correct. So stick on your stand. Once clear, be clear. Otherwise, if you start getting confused, then it is complete a derailment, okay? So be very, very prepared for that. Yes. Well done. Okay. Next article. Editorial again. Bridging the Gulf. A beautifully made title. Such a title is like a pun, okay? What is a pun? A pun is a word or a phrase with double meaning. Bridging the Gulf. Typically, bridging the Gulf means bridging the gap, but here we are actually looking at Gulf. We are looking at the West Asian countries. What is going on? Let's quickly summarize. In terms of UPSC GS paper, this comes from GS paper 2, again international relations. Yes, what is happening? Recently in New Delhi, United Arab Emirates, UAE, president named as Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. He came to India. Because his name is lengthy, we always call him as MBZ. That is an abbreviation of the name of UAE president. Because it's a lengthy name, so we always say MBZ. So from UAE, Mr. MBZ came to New Delhi, and what happened? India and UAE have signed a very unique agreement. This is known as Strategic Defense Agreement. We spoke about it yesterday. Strategic Defense Agreement. At the same time, one of the agendas behind the meeting between Indian leadership and Mr. MBZ is also to make sure that by 2032, we are able to double the bilateral trade between both the countries as $2 billion. That's one agenda. Another is to create a strategic defense relationship. Now, as soon as both the leaders came together and signed the strategic defense relations, the world got alerted. The world got scared. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Egypt, America, China, everybody started focusing on this relationship, and countries like Pakistan were speculating, what if this strategic defense relationship means that India will also now start sending its troops to UAE? A big concern for Saudi Arabia. Today, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan are close friends, very close allies. But in the West, there is no unity anymore. In the West Asia, there is a conflict going on. It is a fractured landscape. Key enemies in West Asia are two people. One is this MBZ himself, leader of UAE. Another is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince Mohammed. Okay, so Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. Now, both these people have become enemies in West Asia. They don't have a good relation. Who? UAE and Saudi. Bad relationship. Why do they have a bad relationship? Let me quickly explain. But now understand what happened. As Mr. MBZ, the leader of UAE, came to India, it's a significant visit. He met Indian Prime Minister Mr. Modi, and together they took three decisions. What are the three decisions they have taken? But yeah, please focus on the map for a minute, please. I want you to see the location of UAE. And as you look at UAE location, please see how beautifully it sits at the border of Saudi Arabia. Please see how it is sitting on the top of Oman. Please see how UAE wears a small crown that goes into another country, Iran. And what is located here? Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz. There is a very famous port in Iran here, Bandar Abbas. That is where you have Strait of Hormuz. Yes, very good, Terukula, Eric, and Kritik and Santosh Vikash. It goes into Strait of Hormuz. Yes, this is your UAE. Now listen carefully what has happened. India and UAE are planning three things clearly. Everything is written here on the PDF, so you don't have to take any notes, just listen carefully. India and UAE decided three things. India is right now the third largest trading partner of UAE. Now, this is something I want you to remember. India is the third largest trading partner of UAE. Yes. Next, for India, UAE is second biggest export destination, seventh largest foreign investor. What has been the decision been taken in this meeting between MBZ and Mr. Modi? Three decisions. Let's double the bilateral trade to $200 billion. Let us create an LNG deal, liquefied natural gas deal, worth $3 billion. And UAE has now agreed to invest in Gujarat because Gujarat has key reserves of oil and gas. Then India and UAE will sign their first bilateral trade agreement. They had signed it long back in 2022. It was not an ordinary trade agreement, it was CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. I've told you multiple times there is a difference between FTA, PTA, TEPA, and CEPA. When you say CEPA, we are looking at a relation that's much more than trade in goods and services. It is about people to people migration, technology exchange, defense, coordination and co-production. So what has happened? Both today, UAE and India have signed a CEPA in 2022. Today they are saying let's create a strategic defense partnership. I'm repeating. This is first of its own kind. So none of my students should forget. India and UAE are creating first of their own kind India UAE strategic defense partnership. The details have not been told to the media yet, they are not public, but this move is happening as West Asia is in ruins right now. Why is West Asia in devastation right now? Very good, Vikash. Why is West Asia in ruins right now? What is the conflict between UAE and Mr. MBZ and Crown Prince Mohammed Salman from Saudi Arabia? So, in the next 5 minutes, I request listen carefully. Don't bother about notes, just listen carefully. Let's have a complete clarity on why UAE and Saudi are having hatred towards each other. Both are Sunni countries, both are Gulf countries, both are rich in oil. Why are they hating each other? They are next door neighbors. Listen carefully. Now, both the countries are having a regional rivalry. And why is that happening? It is happening because tensions between UAE and Saudi Arabia are happening because of two key flashpoints. One, on your map, you can see Yemen. One cause of conflict is Yemen, and the other cause of conflict is Sudan. Okay, so one cause of conflict is Yemen, and the other cause of conflict is Sudan. We all know about Yemen. We have discussed thoroughly. Where is Yemen in this map? It's right here. Next to Oman, below Saudi Arabia. We have spoken about Yemen. I will quickly summarize. But we should know about Sudan also. I will show you the map of Sudan too. Why are they fighting over Yemen and Sudan? Why? Why are they fighting? Because both these are proxy wars. Both these are indirect proxy wars. What is happening in Sudan? Quickly focus. Very good, Terukula. Let's quickly focus. Let us look at a place called Sudan. Here is the map of Sudan. You can see Sudan clearly. Strategically located on the Red Sea. Yes, strategically located on the Red Sea. A country that is near the Horn of Africa, that is very near the eastern flanks of Ethiopia, Somalia, Eritrea. Why are they fighting? Focus, please. Sudan is strategically located. Sudan is next to a global trade route on the Red Sea right here, with its capital called Khartoum. Sudan connects the Arabic world with the Horn of African regions. Sudan has been having political insecurity and destabilization for years. There has been a civil war in Sudan. Who is fighting this civil war? What is the civil war all about? Quickly focus, please. In Sudan, the civil war is between two key groups. One is known as SAF. Other is known as RSF. SAF is Sudan Armed Forces. This is the official army of Sudan. Official army of Sudan. Another is the Rapid Security Forces. These are a powerful paramilitary group. They are fighting with each other. Understood that they are fighting with each other. But then how does UAE and Saudi come in the picture? Why is it a proxy war? It is a proxy war, listen carefully, because if you talk about UAE, MBZ, UAE supports RSF, Rapid Security Forces, the paramilitary power. UAE keeps giving weapons, money, and lot of financial support to RSF. UAE sees RSF as useful because then through RSF, UAE is able to control the minerals and key trade routes in the Red Sea that are located in Sudan. Gold resources, very good, Hari. Rich resources of gold, rich diamond mines, rich critical minerals, and the access to Red Sea. Don't forget, Sudan has a port called Port of Sudan that was recently taken by Russia by signing a deal with Sudan. It's a critical area. Yes. So therefore, UAE supports RSF. UAE says RSF is close to us. We have links with them, historical and economic. Then what about Saudi? Why is Saudi angry? Because Saudi supports SAF, the official military army of Sudan. Saudi says we prefer a stable government, we prefer long term peace. We do not want any kind of militia, non state actor of terror like RSF to control the area near critical Red Sea. Saudi says we want to maintain peace here, but UAE is not cooperating with us at all. Saudi threatens UAE, stop giving arms and money to a military force that is terror organization like RSF. There are many other destabilizing factors in the region. Protest in Iran, no ceasefire in Gaza, America's threat of intervention in Iran, and President Trump's proposing the Board of Peace. Last year in 2025, Israel was angry with Palestine and Hamas. In the process of killing Hamas, Israel attacked Qatar also. Qatar was not safe either. Despite the fact that Qatar has the largest military base of America, named as the Al Udeid base. Saudi Arabia is therefore now trying to maintain close relationship with countries like Russia, with countries like Pakistan, with countries like Turkey. Why? Because Saudi sees these mutual defense pacts as important. Today, Saudi feels tomorrow, if there is any war in West Asia, if Israel and America together attack Iran, tomorrow they can attack me also. I am also a monarchy. Iran is also theocracy, no democracy. I may be attacked. Tomorrow, if in some way UAE finds more support from any other country, then I also should have some defense partner, right? So now what is happening? Saudi is making defense pacts with General Asif Munir, SMDA, Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement, protect each other. Saudi is making friends with Turkey. Yes, Saudi is making friends with Turkey. President Erdogan, who promises him support. That's why it has today become a proxy war between Saudi and UAE. Which war? Sudan war. Now, this is exactly what's going on in Yemen also. I have explained to you the condition of Yemen too, a country that is just located next to Oman. In Yemen, the same thing is happening, proxy war between Saudi and UAE. Northern Yemen is occupied by Iran-led Houthi rebel. Saudi is the next northern close neighbor of Yemen. Saudi wants peace in Yemen. The area here is known as Asir mountain range. I have discussed with you. Saudi supports proper Yemeni government. Northern part has been captured by Iran, a key enemy of Saudi, Houthi rebel, Shia militancy. Southern Yemen is controlled by STC, Southern Transitional Council, supported by UAE. Once again, the proxy war between Iran, Saudi, UAE. So you see, they both are major enemies. But today, as India has decided to sign friendship agreement with UAE, strategic defense agreement with UAE, Saudi is concerned. Although India has clearly said that this agreement is not about India's military involvement in West Asia. It is purely a bilateral act. It is purely about improving our defense infrastructure. We have zero interest in participating in your proxy war. We will not do that. But India still should be very careful. Why does India need to be careful? Because there are 10 million Indians who live in the Gulf countries. This is a major source of foreign remittance, salary, income for India. Gulf region is important for India's energy security, especially because with relation to oil trade with Russia, we have heavy sanctions. Gulf is important because it provides major connectivity to routes that India has invested in, such as the Chabahar port. Where is the Chabahar port on map? Here. Chabahar port, Iran. India has invested in southern Iran. Chabahar port. India has invested in IMEC. A key connectivity here becomes the Chabahar port in Iran. Yes, India has also invested in INSTC, the International North-South Transport Corridor. So therefore, any instability in West Asia will cause a problem to India and its investment. So what is the conclusion that we can make? India has a strong relationship with multiple countries of Gulf Asia. We are close friends with Oman. We are close friends with Jordan. We are close friends with UAE, but that doesn't mean we have any enmity with Saudi Arabia. Nothing of that sort. We have a cordial relationship. Today, it is good for us if there is stability in this area, especially Iran. We will never support any American attack in this area. We will never send any military. India has made it very clear. India would never want any kind of fight in the area. It impacts our investment also. I told you long back, why is India supporting Taliban today? A lot of people say Indian government is being hypocritical. Why do we support a authoritarian power like Taliban? No, we never support the ideology of Taliban. We support Taliban because India feels that one factor is enemy is a friend. Logical. Second factor is that India has invested too much in Afghanistan. Shehtut Dam, Salma Dam, Kabul Dam. Why will India want war in Afghanistan and all that investment getting ruined? So what will India want? India will want stability in Taliban. If there is peace in Afghanistan, it will be great for India because the border of Afghanistan, Pakistan is a threat to India's security too. All these militants come from that area. Same thing is with Iran. Why will we want any war in Iran? It will not help us. So therefore, India says, I am not taking any side openly. As Terukula, Vikash, and Santosh, Kritik, Naveen, Kojumba just said, we believe in non-alignment to multi-alignment. It is not like we are supporting anybody. So this pact is not a military support, please. It's a civil strategic defense agreement. Okay, that's all with this article. Quickly, the question. With reference to India-UAE relation, look at the statements. 1. UAE is among top 3 trading partners and a major source of foreign investment for India. Second, India and UAE have proposed strategic defense partnership amid rising geopolitical tensions in West Asia. 3. India's connectivity initiative such as Chabahar Port and IMEC depend on stability and cooperation in the Gulf area. Which of these are valid? Let's see. Which of these are valid? Which of these are valid? Think and let me know the answer quickly. Vikash, Eric Terukula, codename Chip, Sumit, Sitaram Madhav, World Cricket codename Apex, Priyanshu are answering. What about my other dear students, my little nerds? Okay, many more codenames. Then Diya, Rishi, Saurav, Hari. Eric has already answered. I saw that. Pushpita is answering, and absolutely you're right. So one more round of applause to my class. Brilliant. A is right. All these statements are correct. You just saw the article. All of these are correct. Now, some confusion was happening before that. Any confusion was happening before that? Soft power diplomacy with Afghanistan, very valid point made by you. STC is supported by Saudi? No, it's not. STC is supported by UAE. A leader named as Al Zubaydi, who has finally now run away to Qatar. Why, sorry, who has run away to UAE itself. Why did he run away to UAE? Because STC is a supported group by UAE, not Saudi. Saudi doesn't support STC, so be very clear about it. Yemen today is divided into North and South. South is STC, led by a leader called STC, but yesterday they have decided to surrender. They have surrendered in front of the main military group that is supported by Saudi. Today they say we are ready to dissolve, but we can't trust them too much. Some remnants will stay behind, but overall they are resigning now. That is a group supported by UAE, and I also told you why. If you look at the map, that area is close to places like Gulf of Hormuz. Sorry, that area is close to places like Bab al-Mandeb Strait. Why will UAE not want access to strategic key ports and maritime lines? They want the resource of this area. Saudi supports stable government. Iran is attacking northern Yemen. That's an area occupied by Houthi. Houthi are Shia militancy. Iran is a Shia country. Okay, so Saudi and Iran anyway are not good friends. They are enemies. I hope it's clear now. And very good, Santosh. Chennai to very good. That strategic maritime lane that extends into Russia. The I forgot the name. Chennai to Vladivostok, I think. Vladivostok station in Russia. That was a part of Relos agreement. Very good. I hope it's clear to everyone. Zahir defense partnership. Bacha, this is a kind of civil partnership where both the countries will co-develop defense equipment, support each other in doing best practices exchange when it comes to the defense area. It is not about any kind of defense agreement where one country will send military to another or one country will fight war for another. This is very different from the kind of defense agreement that has been signed between Saudi and Pakistan. That's a mutual agreement in which one protects the other. This is not like that. We are not having any involvement in military, no war. We are just saying let us cooperate in manufacture of defense. And this is a civil agreement. It has no repercussions on any military involvement. I hope it's clear to everyone. Well said, Terukula and Vikash. I had showed you the map of this also, if you remember. Vladivostok, yes, in Russia. That is Relos agreement. When Russia came to India, we signed that. Oh, very good, Akshay. Okay, so remember these points. Now, I hope it's clear to everyone. There is a big difference, Kritik. When you support a country financially, you are doing investment there, like India is doing in the case of Afghanistan, like India has done in the Chabahar port. When you are saying, I am only ready to support a country ideologically, that could be a kind of support that India gives to Ukraine. Have we invested in Ukraine? No. But we definitely condemn the Russian attacks on Ukraine. Are we supporting in any way any country financially, including Thailand or Cambodia? No. But then don't we say that we need peace there? We do. Don't we support two-state solution? We do. But that doesn't mean we are sending any financial help to a country like Israel and fighting its war. We don't do that. We just do humanitarian support to Palestinian people because they are victims of genocide. You see, there is a difference between giving soft power support and actually sending your military. Then there is another called HADR, human assistance support, that we gave to Sri Lanka right now, as in the case of Operation Sagar Bandhu. That is very different under the quadrilateral investment finance, whatever we have. It's clear now with everyone. Let's proceed with the next article quickly. And this is not editorial, but this is a text page article. It's a very short article. If you can focus for 2-3 minutes, we'll do this. To compete with China, India may need China. What a paradox. What a paradox. There is a figure of speech in English literature language that is known as oxymoron. You may have heard about that. Oxymoron means two opposite words come together. For example, the dark light or the silent noise. Example. Just like that, this title is very, very oxymoronic. To compete with China, we need China. What a paradox. So we are looking at GS paper 2 here. Definitely international relations, bilateral relations, India, China. At the same time, we are looking at GS paper 3 also, no? We are looking at trade, investment, economic ties. Yes, very good, Kojumba Sumit. Kojumba should know, she is our poet. Okay. Now, next article. What does this article say? Let's quickly understand. This article is pointing out to a change of policy in India, okay? What was the change of policy? We all know that China had made attack on us in 2020. And where had it attacked? In the Galwan Valley area of Ladakh. By now, everybody is clear through the map that in India and China relationship, there are 3 areas of war, border conflict. One is in the west, Aksai Chin, Galwan Valley. One is in the middle, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand. One is in the third, eastern area, Arunachal Pradesh, which China calls that southern Tibet, Zangnan. Yes. Now looking about the western boundary, just below Aksai Chin, we are looking at Galwan Valley in Ladakh. China had attacked us in 2020, the Galwan Valley confrontation between 2 groups. I also told you it was a very heart-touching event for Indian Army because none of these armies was able to use weapons here. Weapons are not allowed to be used absolutely near the border. You can't use them. So they were literally fighting with sticks and hands. It was a painful experience for Indian Army. Yes. That was a dangerous attempt made by China, just like now. China has revived its intrusion in the Shaksgam Valley, near the Siachen battlefield, okay, near the Trans-Karakoram region. So China is not a reliable country, we know that. So therefore, in 2020, after Galwan Valley clashes, India introduced a new policy. This is known as Press 3 Note. I repeat, this is known as Press Note 3. Under this Press Note 3, India now said, 1. I will not allow any investment from a Chinese company in India. Chinese companies will not participate in government tenders when it comes to our economy in India. Second, any country that is sharing a land border with our country, any such country, if they want to trade in India, if their companies want to do any economic business in India, they will have to take a special approval from the Indian government before they can invest in India. That was the press 3 note. And we immediately stopped all the Chinese companies from participating in Indian tenders without taking a prior government permission. They had to take some political and security approval. Some clearances had to be taken. And why did we do that? We did that because all this happened after the Galwan Valley clash. We did that because China could not be trusted. We did that because China gave no clarity, no apology whatsoever when it comes to Galwan Valley confrontation. And therefore, we tried to protect our national security by reducing our economic dependence on China. As a result, as per a report published in Reuters, China lost contracts worth rupees $750 billion in India. China lost $750 billion investment in it. Today, what has happened? Today, in 2026, India is trying to change this policy, change the policy of Press Note 3, change the policy of stopping China from investing in India. Why are we changing and what is the new change? The new change is that Ministry of Finance has said we are planning to remove all the restrictions now on Chinese companies, and now, yes, they can try to participate in Indian government tenders and contracts. Now we are removing that. And why should we change our policy suddenly? And why are we allowing China now to participate? Why do we need to rethink? Clearly, there are economic reasons behind that. It is not that we trust China, it is just economic imperative. Why and how? Let us discuss. If you look at Economic Survey 23 to 24, India's Finance Ministry said China's foreign direct investment will help India getting integrated into the global supply chain. China will enable India's exports to increase. America and European Union, although are reducing their dependence on China, their dependence and their trade with China has completely fallen down in 2024. But for India, Chinese companies still matter. Very good, Terekula. Chinese companies still matter. Why like that? Because many global supply chains, whether it's rare earth material, whether it is copper, whether it is API in pharmaceutical sector, all of these are, whether it's semiconductor, all of them are situated in China. All these are dominated by Chinese companies. India cannot suddenly attract foreign investment from other partners if we lose a big partner like China. We can't. So therefore, India will not be able to attract diversified global supply chain unless Chinese companies are a part of this process. They have a goodwill in the industry. We need to use them. A very good example is clear here. The East Asian countries grew exports by hosting Chinese linked manufacturing. Today, if you say Vietnam is a rising economy, it's all because of Chinese companies. Today, if you see Russian economy, a great participation by Chinese economies, although China believes in the debt trap policy, but it is also true that most of the declining economies were ultimately protected by China's participation, because Chinese companies have a monopoly in everything when it comes to manufacturing sector. A very good example here could be smartphone itself. Something as simple as smartphone. Earlier, all the components of American smartphones would be manufactured in China itself, including Apple. 2016, 60% of smartphone components were made in China. America, after that, put sanctions on China. America was worried about Chinese dominance. By 2026, they have reduced to 22% from 60%. Where has the business gone? The business has now gone to Vietnam, Thailand, and India. But to repeat this success story, what America has done in the smartphone sector, removed China's monopoly and started giving orders to India, Thailand, and Vietnam. Now, phone components are being made in these countries because we also have a big labor power. We know that. But repeating the same formula in other sectors will not be easy without China's participation. If you look at India, then Chinese foreign direct investment has only increased in most countries, although it has been declining in India because of the Galwan Valley clash and restrictions after that. If you look at India's rank as a Chinese foreign direct investment destination, it has fallen by 19 points in 2024. And what are the reasons behind that? India's hesitation in conducting trade with China. India's controlling and stopping Chinese investment because we can't trust China. But right now we are rethinking on that policy because it is purely an interest of economic benefit. It is about strategic autonomy. It is not about believing in China. Today we are thinking, let's carefully invite Chinese investment and then manage that with taking necessary security protection, making sure our local domestic manufacturers are not getting harmed in the process. It will enable India to join global supply chain. It will enable India to have cheaper access, smoother access to copper, rare earth material, and Chinese API in pharmaceutical. Plus, at the end of the day, hate China, love China, avoid China. But then China is the only country, by the way, that can offer a counter alternative to America. America will not do any good to anybody either way. America is busy putting punitive tariffs. So China is the leader of China One strategy that is counteracting the Western countries. Anyway, we have lost the Western market. We have lost America as an export destination. It is time to diversify. So, what is wrong in experimenting with a partner like China, provided we act carefully without putting complete trust there? That's the pitch of this article, okay? I hope it's clear to everyone. We have to diversify, absolutely, and make domestic capacity. Chinese companies can help in that. Now, this is a map of China here. As you are looking at the map, do look at the strategic location of China. Just below Mongolia, the big Gobi Desert. Look at Kyrgyzstan. Look at the boundary with Nepal. Look at the boundary with India, the most conflicted region. Look at the boundary with Bhutan. Look at here, Myanmar. I told you many times, China supports military junta in Myanmar. Myanmar is a strategic point of connectivity through BRI, Belt and Road Initiative for China. Remember the Coco Island, dominated by Myanmar. It has given it to China's navy. Now look at other neighbors like Vietnam here. Look at the location in the South China, East China Sea. Look at the location in Indo-Pacific Sea. Look how this is an area also of the 9-line, where China keeps on claiming so many countries. Before 1950, it used to be 11-line. From 1950 onwards, it has reduced to 9-line. Most of the points here. Pingtan Island, we spoke about it, from where China attacked Taiwan. Yes, Pratas, Scarborough, Spratly, all these are located here ultimately. Paracel, this is the area where China dominates. As I said, America Western, China Eastern Hemisphere, a big threat to Japan. Big threat to Japan. Okay, so please understand that the location is crucial and critical. Now let's move on to one of the last articles that we have to analyze today. Very, very good. Operation Justice Against Taiwan. Great job, Terukula. Very good, Vikash, Santosh, and Sitaram. The Coco Island controversy, very near India's own landfall island in Andaman, South Andaman. Very good. Quickly, this next article. The importance of Pax Silica for India. We have done this before, haven't we? Yes, Santosh. Strait of Malacca, where India wants to now do joint patrolling, located between Malaysia and Indonesia. Strategic choke point which supplies goods, materials, oil to China. Excellent, Kritik. Salami slicing, grey zone, white zone, 9-, string of pearls. That's China for you. Very, very good. What is Pax Silica? Why is it in the news? Listen carefully. Today, American President Donald Trump is inviting India to join Pax Silica. What is Pax Silica? Pax Silica is an agreement that was done in December 2025 by America. What does it mean? An agenda to create more cordial, more peaceful supply chain of rare earth material. Pax means peace, silica means a major material that you need to manufacture AI chips. So Pax Silica. Aim is to counterbalance China's monopoly as a leading supplier of rare earth material and REE, to secure your AI and semiconductor segment from depending on China, to build a reliable digital infrastructure, to control China's domination on supply chain and therefore prevent yourself from supply shocks given from China. What's the big picture of this article? Now, in the world, no matter how much you talk about Muti Rao, no matter how much you talk about Ubuntu, no matter how much you talk about Carbon Finance Fund, we know that the world is divided economically between the global north and the global south, the rich countries versus the poor country. There is a discrepancy of income and resource both. Therefore, new technologies like semiconductor, AI chip manufacturing, artificial intelligence are now the leaders of economic power. They determine your economic power. These technologies blindly depend on a group of 17 elements from the periodic table known as rare earth element. I have told you they are not called rare earth because they are rare. They are called rare earth because they are only exclusive 17 materials on the periodic table. Therefore, their supply is strategically important when it comes to making AI, semiconductor, or renewable energy components. So, they are very strategically important. Here comes Pax Silica. Because China dominates the midstream and downstream capacity of mining, processing, refining all the critical minerals, Pax Silica wants to act as an opposite front that gives internal strength, internal capacity to countries to stop China's monopoly. But who are the main members here? Of course, led by America. Japan, advanced technology. Australia, rich reserves of lithium and REE. Netherlands, Holland, a great chip manufacturing technology called chip lithography, writing, coding the chips. South Korea, memory chip manufacturing. Singapore, a manufacturing hub for AI chips. Then Israel, great leader of defense, technology, AI, semiconductor. Of course, United Kingdom, strong AI ecosystem, ultimately UAE and Qatar. Yes, all these are the members here. Now, who are the observing countries here? European Union, Canada, Organization of the OECD, Organization of Economic Development, that is OECD. Then Taiwan, never miss Taiwan. Taiwan is a leading producer of technology. That's why America sees Taiwan as a great alternative to China. If these are the members, very good. If all these are the members of Pax Silica and the remaining are observers, why do you need Pax Silica? Why do you need Pax Silica today? We need Pax Silica because China, I have told you multiple times, dominates mining, processing, exports of REE. China has been using rare earth material like a political tool. Just like America uses sanctions, China uses rare earth supply control. The moment it's angry with the country, it stops the supply. No wonder President Trump came on his knees to attend the meeting of G2 in Busan with President Xi. He said, I will reduce your tariff, bro, but please supply rare earth. I can't live without that. Now, another thing is India's imports of rare earth magnets for wind turbine has made it very, very dependent, therefore, on initiatives like Pax Silica on China. We are dependent, so therefore, we need alternative like Pax Silica. The pandemic has showed the danger of what happens when you depend blindly on one country. You can't depend. So, therefore, we must create supply chain resilience. In 2021, countries like India, Japan, Australia had already created supply chain resilience initiative. Then in 2025, the quadrilateral dialogue had created critical minerals initiative, but despite all that, India was never invited initially to all these initiatives. Initially, India was not being invited to Pax Silica either. Later, US Ambassador Sergio Gore said that India will be invited, and why this membership matters to India. Because India and America have a strong technological collaboration. India has a rapidly growing AI market, rapidly growing economy, digital infrastructure. Therefore, government backed AI and semiconductor missions are right now important to India. Yes, India has a large supply of highly skilled engineers. Most of them are trained in America. We are already having collaboration with Japan, Singapore, Israel, South Korea. If India joins it, what challenges will India face? India will be the first developing country to join Pax Silica. I want you to remember. India will be the first developing country to join Pax Silica. India will be the first non-American ally. Only India is a strategic partner to America, non-American ally to join Pax Silica. There is a risk of expectation gap and foreign policy needs to be balanced. China may hate India more. Russia may look at India with suspicion. Then, if India wants to protect its domestic firms, India's young AI semiconductor industries, if India wants more subsidies, more procurement more import controls, then perhaps India may think of having a very balanced approach towards Pax Silica. Now, what is the future therefore? What should we do for future? One thing is very clear. When you look at the global REE, we can't deny China's domination. Today, Pax Silica is coming as a counter initiative. Previously, also to counteract against BRI, India had made the IMEC. Yeah, right. So already China is upset about such things. And America is also upset about the fact that India is a part of BRICS. Now, joining Pax Silica as the first developing country may mean managing expectations between America and China. That's a key agenda. China has shown little concern. China is not sensitive towards the needs of developing countries, anyways. It keeps giving supply shocks. Today, if we cooperate with countries like Pax Silica, perhaps we get more technology, we get more AI, and more renewable energy technology from all these countries, which we cannot achieve otherwise through United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Maybe in UNFCCC we don't get it, but through this we might get it. It's a more narrow forum. So ultimately, it's about securing your energy needs in the long term and counterbalancing China's monopoly. Now, India's participation could again be a rewiring of foreign policy to manage between China's expectation, India's expectation. Yes? Very good. Absolutely. That's a very valid point you've mentioned. Correct. If they ask it, we must write. Very good. Very good, Priyanshu. So that is what this article is all about here. Quickly, let's look at the last question for the day and then a 2 minutes article and we are done. With reference to Pax Silica 2025 December, consider the following statements. Pax Silica is a US-led initiative aimed at securing supply chain for semiconductor, AI, critical minerals such as rare earth element. Second, China's domination in rare earth element supply chain and the use of export control has been a major factor behind the creation of Pax Silica. And three, India was a founding member of Pax Silica and played a leading role in making its declaration. Last, Pax Silica seeks to reduce forceful dependencies and promote trusted digital and technology infrastructure. Which of these statements here are valid? It's a very easy question for my class. I know that. 100% for you, it's very easy. I know that. So who has answered now? Vikash, Rishi, Ramu, Madhav, Sumit, Priyanshu, Terikula, Eric, Apex, Hari, Saurav, Rajnishwar, Kojumba, Dia. Are you all answering it absolutely correctly? Yes, then that means you deserve a huge round of applause once more. Majority is right. Yes, Pushpita, Santosh, Eric, Sitaram, it's correct. You all know third is not right. India is not a founding member. No, 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 no. India was invited later on the request of American President Mr. Gore. Initially, India was not. In fact, now India will be the first country. Okay, they are the same. So C and D. Thank you so much. Thank you for spotting that out. So C and D are same. Thank you so much. Yes. Third is invalid. First, second, and third are totally correct. India was later invited. Now India will become the first, yes, Apex, the first developing country to be a member of Pax Silica. Therefore, we need a foreign policy balance between America and China. So now we are mostly done. Thank you so much for that, Madhav and Santosh. Now, bacha, before I take your leave, allow me 2 minutes to summarize this quick snapshot on space technology. Initially, I thought we can take it as a current affairs lecture, but then I thought many people are not able to find or view those lectures. Let's quickly summarize. Max 2 minutes. How reusability can lead to sustainable, cost effective access to space. It's a beautiful article. Why? Because it is a very short one. It's a fine blend between GS paper 3. Two topics. One is creating renewable energy, reusability, recycling, reducing environmental degradation, reducing carbon footprint. On the other hand, advancement in science and tech. So it's a very nice one. No, it's not critic, it's a typo error. Okay. All right, that was funny. So one is science and one is zero carbon technology. We are creating a fine blend between the two. All right. So let's quickly focus. What is happening? Yes, Eric, that's valid. The mood swings are determining the world right now. Today, we are living in a world where mood swings are determining foreign policy swings. Sorry to say, but that's true. Quickly, the last one. What is the core of this article? Let me summarize for you in just a little while. For a very long time, for decades, for many years, space exploration was only led by government. We know that government of various countries used to deal with space missions, spacecraft. Now the world is a changed place. Very good, Vikash. World is a changed place. We are seeing privatization and liberalization in the space sector. Since 2000s, private companies are also participating too much in the space exploration through innovation and funding. Global space industry is expected to rise to $1 trillion by 2030 itself. But there is a very big problem when it comes to orbital debris and orbital pollution. You should know that majority of spacecrafts, majority of our space equipment is located in the low Earth orbit. Very few spacecrafts are able to cross the low Earth orbit and go to the mid orbit, finally, to go to the higher points and ultimately to the much higher outer space. Very few rockets do that. Majority are there in the low Earth orbit. Now that they are low Earth orbit, there is another tension. There is too much wastage and debris and degraded, discarded material that is also rotating in the low Earth orbit. Why in the low Earth orbit? Because Earth has gravity. So rather than expelling the material, Earth typically holds on to that. And it's a paradox. The same low Earth orbit that is supporting space infrastructure is also having too much space debris or orbital wastage. It may clash into that. An example, Shenzhou 2 from China. There was a piece of orbital wastage, debris that struck into it, and it created a complete fracture. It created a dent on the window of the capsule of Shenzhou 2. It could happen in future again. It's dangerous. So therefore, very good, Vikash. Like I spoke about the SAR, like I spoke about space docking, space refueling, very good. Today we are looking at LEO. Therefore, something has to be done to control the pollution, debris, leftover, and wastage that is happening through these space missions. Otherwise, just like our planet, space, outer space, middle orbit, low Earth orbit, all of these will become polluted one day. And we will have a great pollution there as well, not just on the planet. Yes. So now what to do? Therefore, today a new discovery, a new innovation is being spoken about, and these are called as reusable rockets. Reusable rockets. We often talk about reuse, recycle, or refuse. Ramu has told us this formula many times, the 3R: reduce, recycle, refuse. Today, same thing is happening. We are saying make reusable rockets. Why do you want to waste? Just like we can't afford single-use plastic, we can't afford single-use rockets either. Very good, absolutely. What is happening now? It is slightly expensive to suddenly make a transition to low carbon mechanisms in space, but they will give you a much better reward in future. So let's talk about the reusable rockets. What are these? Reusable rockets are a great innovation. Not only do they help you in reducing your launch cost by 5 to 20 times, but also they will enable you to launch more rockets in a lesser span of time. Your rocket launch frequency also increases too much. Yes, circular economy ultimately. Very, very good. Now, why do human missions why are they more expensive? Today we are looking at human mission that's being sent by NASA into the lunar atmosphere. I spoke about it recently. We are looking at Gaganyaan. That's the first crewed mission from India. But space missions which have human involvement are more expensive. Why? Because human missions will cost 3 to 5 times more than satellite launch. Reason? When we are sending humans, we also need life support, rescue support, safety systems. Yes, human rating has to be done. Redundancy mechanisms have to be in place. I have explained redundancy very nicely to you. Backup has to be there for every system. And strict mission monitoring has to be there. Therefore, human missions are more expensive. Satellite missions are simpler and therefore they are cheaper. But what is the challenge behind launching a rocket today? The biggest challenge is like what? Some students said right now. Who said that? Apex said that. The biggest challenge is to overcome gravity and air resistance, that is known as drag. The biggest challenge is to overcome gravity, resistance, and air resistance, that's called drag. Since there is nothing to push against, imagine I am a heavy body. For example, I am a 200, 500 kg body. I am trying to thrust myself up. On what basis will I do? I need something that will give me the push. Even something as simple as doing a push up or a pull up needs strength, right? What should I push myself up? You need something to do that. But a rocket doesn't have any such thing to push against. So how will it go upstairs? Who will give that thrust to a rocket? It will happen by throwing excessive gases backward. Now, when all these gases are being released from the engine in the backward direction, that gives rocket the thrust to overcome the pull of gravity. And that's how a rocket at a very high speed is able to move upwards. It very well resonates with Newton's third law of gravity. Very good, Priyanshu. Resonates with that. Now, what is that? Very good thrust. Now, what's the challenge? The challenge is that there is a problem of too much weight. There is a problem of too much weight. Research shows that in a rocket, 90% of the weight is that of rocket fuel. The fuel mass is 90% of the rocket, and the actual payload, the actual equipment with which you will do research that you are sending outside in the space to accomplish some experiment, that's only about 4%, less than 4%. What a paradox. What a paradox. Recently, we launched the Bluebird satellite. How bad it sounds that 90% of the weight is because of fuel mass, and the most important thing, the payload. We discussed Aditya L1 payload. What was the payload about? All the material that you are sending outside, which will do experiment and research for you, that's less than 4%. Now, what is the benefit that we get? Zero. That's the problem here. That makes space travel very inefficient. This much useful material and that much fuel load. What will happen? Only pollution and residue. So therefore, today what is happening? We are thinking about reusability. Here the company SpaceX has done some very great initiative. SpaceX has introduced reusable stages in rocket. That means what happens as a part of stages? I told you every rocket will have to usually conduct 4 stages. Recently in India, PSLV C-26 mission was a failure, right? It could not succeed after the end of 3rd stage. What is the multi-stage? The Bahubali. Very good. Very good. What happened to PSLV C-26? It collapsed after 3rd stage. It couldn't reach the 4th stage. So what happens at every stage? A rocket starts emptying its parts in the air itself, in between the travel itself. Why? The more residue you throw out, the lighter you become. Yes, you are carrying 90% weight of fuel, but with every stage you are emptying your parts in midway. That reduces your weight, it makes you light and more efficient. You are then able to escape the fuel weight trap. Traditional rockets like PSLV, LMV-3 are expendable. Once used, they have to be discarded. Once used, they have to be discarded, no? What to do? Once used, they have to be discarded. Yes, that's not something we can afford. It causes wastage. And therefore, today, SpaceX is experimenting with reusable rockets. These will use 3D printing design. These will create vertical integration, making most of the parts within the body of the rocket itself. This will shift from a throwaway technique to a technique where you can keep on reusing multiple times the same components without adding any extra wastage. Here, a good example is what Vikash had mentioned. What? Falcon 9. Falcon 9 first stage shows this example. It slows down using engines. It's called retropropulsion. Here, the air drag. It removes all the remaining energy, and over 520 successful first stage recoveries have happened so far. No wastage at all. Fully reusable rockets are being created from SpaceX. Now, SpaceX is making a rocket called Starship. It will go to the Earth's orbit, it will go to Moon's orbit, it will go to Mars, but it will not create any wastage as such. Globally, there are many companies trying that. For example, Blue Origin. Blue Origin is also working towards that. Chinese private companies are also experimenting with that. But the question is, how many times can you reuse the same thing? Well, many times. Today we have constraints on material, we have constraints on engine stress, temperature and weight, but over time we can overcome all these problems, and SpaceX has shown 30 times we can reuse the rocket in the same stage. Can India compete? Yes. Today, ISRO is working on RLV, as my students are mentioning. RLV, reusable launch vehicle. It is a winged runway landing system. It will create first stage recovery. It will use retro propulsion technology. And ultimately, we will also be able to use components multiple times rather than throwing the rackets away. So, to be competitive, we have to do these experiments. We strongly believe in the capacity of PSLV, but we have seen two failures in the recent past. Perhaps now is the time we need to move towards rockets which have fewer stages and better recovery system. High efficiency engine and less pollution. So, two-stage rockets can do what earlier needed three stages. And what is happening? We can thank the scientific technological advancements here. So how can we conclude this? Reusable rocket is like creating the 3R concept: reduce, reuse, recycle, and refuse. Ultimately, just like what we are doing on the planet. So that is something in ISRO must think about. So that's it for my class for the day. And what to do? Paper was very dense today, so I won't discuss this in detail. But the place in the news today is Chagos Island. Chagos Island. What is going on in Chagos Island? Please see the location. And I'll end by saying one line. Chagos archipelago is right here. What is archipelago? Archipelago is a group of many islands together. We have Chagos archipelago. Please see the location, bacha, near Sri Lanka, Maldives, right here. Very near Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. I am looking at Chagos archipelago. What is happening? United Kingdom has decided to transfer the ownership of Chagos Island to Mauritius. Why? Because finally, after 200 years of control by the British government, listening to the orders by International Court of Justice, UK has decided to restore the sovereignty of these islands back to Mauritius. Why is this a place in the news? Because in Chagos Island, you have a critical strategic area called as Diego Garcia. Please remember the name. Diego Garcia. Diego Garcia. For 99 years. But UK will continue the ownership. For another 99 years, UK will continue the ownership of this strategic point because it is a strategic military base for America and UK together. Where? Chagos Island. Where? Indian Ocean, near Mauritius. Today, UK is saying, I'm returning this back to Mauritius, the Chagos Island. But President Trump is angry. He says it's a very stupid move that you are making. It has Diego Garcia. It's a very critical military base. You are holding on to the ownership for another 99 years, but you should not have given Chagos to Mauritius. It's a very bad mistake that you have made. British government says we had to give it back because it was a mandate under International Court of Justice and pressure was coming from the United Nations to stop colonialism. But why will President Trump be happy? He is himself a very big imperialist and a colonialist. He would never appreciate Britain giving away an island called Chagos with Diego Garcia in it back to Mauritius. So that's it for today's newspaper. Thank you. Thank you so much for your participation, for your kind, interesting, enthusiastic participation. Okay, so God bless all of you and maintain the same desire for learning. Focus on the maps, be more interrogative, ask more questions, be more curious. Always remember 70% of UPSC is based on current affairs, places in the news. The more we master these, ultimately the better we perform. Okay, so all the best to everyone. God bless each one of you. And see you tomorrow then at 9:30 a.m. for another Hindu segment. Yes. Now see, America is showing anger on that as well. Okay, so very interesting. Thank you so much, everyone, for your kind words and your warm support. It's because of you that we are planning to make this initiative more successful in the future, completely and all because of you. So God bless you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care, Vikash, Rishi, Anup, Ramu, Rajneshwar, Brajesh, Saurav, Apex, Sitaram, Terukula, my dear Kojumba, Ramu, Brajesh, Ranjit, Priyanshu, Santosh, Sumed, Eric, Madhav, Urupam, Bulbul, Iba. Bye-bye, everybody. Akhtar, Rishi, Vikash, and anyone else I'm missing out upon? Okay, AB, Aru, Zahir, many code names. Sitaram I have mentioned, Pushpita, Diya, Hari, Kritik, Priyanshu, many code names again, and then who else? Okay, I think that's about it. All right then. See you tomorrow. God bless you. Bye bye. Bye Terukula. Bye Hari. Bye everyone.